Awaiting the last quarterfinal of the evening here in Greensboro, Clemson and North Carolina State. North Carolina just fell to Virginia. The Tar Heels preseason #1 team appear destined to be the first preseason #1 to fail to make the NCAA tournament since NC State in 1975. Smaller tournament field, fewer bids, and a limitation on the number of teams from each conference that could go. Back then, Tar Heels, a piece of history they'd rather not have. The semifinals. They'll have Xavier up by 5 in the closing seconds. They will advance as well. Clemson has had NC State's number in the 2 regular season meetings, largely due to that man, P.J. Hall. Jerquavian Smith, boy, he went off last night. He'd been struggling down the stretch, did not play well in their final regular season game against Duke. NC State as a whole really hasn't played well against Clemson. Their final home game, they got beat by 25 by the Tigers. So what do you expect from this explosive, fast-tempo Wolfpack team tonight?
To your point, Jerquavian Smith's going to have to play well, Seth. Combined in those 2 games, he's 5 of 36 from the field. He scored well in that last game, but he's got to be efficient out there, Seth, to knock down shots, he and Jarkel Joyner, to give this team a chance to get a win tonight.
Yeah, Jarkel Joyner, I called NC State the best 2-way backcourt in the ACC. Jordan's a big part of that. He's a shot maker. He's a floor gamer. He can defend the basketball. He, Marcel, can knock down shots out of Jerquavian. Here's the problem that NC State has with Clemson. They got 5 floor gamers all over the floor. They're going to make, basically, NC State chase them around. Very similarly that Virginia made North Carolina chase them around. That's been the problem in this matchup.
Both of these teams can feel pretty good about their chances on Selection Sunday, but there are a lot of ACC teams. For instance, the way Pittsburgh got handled by Duke, it got stomped, and it might bring them back under the microscope in that selection committee room. These 2 teams are close to
Clemson is an NCAA tournament team. You would not want to play against them, but you wouldn't mind because you want to be a champion.
That's right. Play anybody, baby. Bring them on.
That's good.
They enter with expectations.
There's an excitement and an energy around the ACC tournament.
Internal and external.
It's about one of the most special events that you're ever going to play in.
It can lift them up or weigh them down.
Williamson, long 3 to maybe win it. It's over! Hit it! 2/10 of a second.
Who's gonna go?
No greater feeling.
There's no greater feeling than to win the ACC tournament.
The history.
Notre Dame wins it!
The legacy.
He got it!
The moments.
You ACC championship, man!
The ACC Men's Basketball Tournament.
Welcome to ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. This is the New York Life ACC Tournament. A lot of Wolfpack fans are here in Greensboro. State and Clemson. This is last night after a thumping of Virginia Tech as they advanced into the quarterfinals. Tonight they'll take on Brad Brownell's Clemson Tigers, who have defeated State twice already this season, including by 25 in Raleigh just 12 days ago. What's happened already here today and tonight in Greensboro? The #1 seed, Miami, led by Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong, surviving, beating Wake by 2, where they will take on now the Duke Blue Devils in the first of 2 semifinals tomorrow night. It was never in doubt in this one. The Blue Devils ran it up against Pitt. Kyle Filipowski and a lot of his buddies had a big afternoon as Duke advances to the semis. In the game we just had for you, Virginia, in a very methodical Virginia-like fashion, got a big night from Reese Beekman, Kihei Clark, loving it, as the Who's have advanced to the semifinals where there's 1 spot remaining, and that's the game we've got for you right now. The 3 seed Clemson making its first appearance here in the tournament and taking on the 6 seed in NC State. Hi again, everybody. Welcome back to the Greensboro Coliseum. Dan Shulman and Jay Billis. Clemson's got some good wins, including 2 of them over NC State. Tough to beat a good team 3 times. Star power on both sides here tonight.
There's no question. And P.J. Hall and Hunter Tyson are a really difficult matchup for NC State. This Clemson team is very skilled. They can pick and pop. They are very good with their pick and roll defense. And Hunter Tyson has had an unbelievable season in his final year at Clemson. 31 points, 15 rebounds in the first game against NC State at Little John Coliseum. But they're taking on some formidable guards in Terquavion Smith and Jarkel Joyner. Jarkel Joyner, 20 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds against Virginia Tech. And his backcourt mate, Terquavion Smith, had 30 points. Those guys were scoring on shots that were like a video game. They should have gotten 4 points for some of those shots they were taking. They were so deep.
And they were arm in arm last night as Holly Rowe was interviewing them. Here's Holly tonight.
Well, Terquavion Smith was so hot. We're trying to find new words for hot. I'm coming up with scorching. He was 30 points, but it was 84% from the field. Can he carry that over tonight? That's a big question because in 4 career games against Clemson, he has really struggled shooting just 17% from the field. Coach Keats of NC State was honest. He said sometimes he has problems with the size of this Clemson team. And when I talked to the Clemson coaches just now, they said they're going to use Brevin Galloway as his primary defender. Brevin is a big, strong physical frame, but not only that, he's 25 years old. We'll see if Terquavion can keep up the hot streak and get past that physicality tonight.
Holly, thank you. We spoke with Brad Brownell yesterday. He knows his team is on the bubble. He knows it's a bit precarious. Again, they have some really good wins. We've talked about the quad system, but they are 4-3 in quad 1. 2 wins over NC State, 1 on the road, obviously. They've beaten Duke. They won at Pitt. They've beaten Penn State, but they've got some troubling losses, including Loyola Chicago and Louisville. Do they need this one tonight in order to secure an at-large bid? NC State appears safe. They are the 6th seed. Joe Lunardi has them in the tournament right now as a 10 seed. And boy, did they look impressive last night against the Hokies.
You know, one thing I know about the bubble, if you want to win the ACC tournament championship, both teams have to win this game to do that. You win the ACC tournament title, you don't have to discuss any of this stuff. And that's what these teams are here for, to win an ACC championship.
They are here to advance into the semifinals. The winner will do that against Virginia tomorrow night. Roger Ayers, A.J. Desai, Ted Valentine are the officials. And away we go. First possession belongs to the Tigers. Well, a good matchup at the point. Joyner guarding Chase Hunter. This is P.J. Hall. Better than 15 a game. DJ Burns is on him. Turnaround by Hall is short.
DJ Burns, the lefty, had 24 points against Clemson in one of the earlier games. But it's difficult for him to have to guard P.J. Hall because P.J. Hall can step away. He can play pick and pop and draw him away from the basket.
If you haven't seen State, if you haven't seen DJ Burns, now as that goes down for Terquavion Smith. And he makes an early statement in this game. This Wolfpack team, all kinds of fun, whether it's Smith and Joyner in the backcourt or Burns, the big fella in the middle.
Well, Terquavion Smith has yet to find a shot that he cannot make anywhere on the floor. And when he gets hot, forget it. It's video game stuff.
And an early 3-0 lead for the Wolfpack.
And Smith came in to the game against Virginia Tech. In his last 2 prior to that, he'd been 5 of 25 from the field. But that's but a distant memory after that 30-point performance.
Right back into Hall. Burns got some help from Smith, and the Pack forced the turnover.
Great dig down by Terquavion Smith.
Joyner, the transfer from Ole Miss. A 6th-year player along with the sophomore in Smith, and just 2 dynamic guards at both ends of the floor.
Now this high-low pass, watch Terquavion Smith digs down and goes after the ball, knocks it away from P.J. Hall. And you had DJ Burns staying between Hall and the basket to force the turnover. You can't make DJ Burns play one-on-one against Hall. And this is where it's really dangerous. That pick and pop stuff if DJ Burns helps on the ball, he's got to recover too far to get out to P.J. Hall. That's what's difficult about this matchup with Hall and then with Hunter Tyson as well.
Hall at 6'10", 40% from three on the season. Tyson, first team All-ACC, 41% from three on the season. And speaking of threes, Casey Morsell.
The second chance, kicking it out for a three. You're just not going to find a better chance to knock in a three.
Morsell, a vastly improved three-point shooter from where he was a couple of years ago when he was with Virginia. Missed three there, and a pretty good look for Chase Hunter.
This team gets the ball down court so quickly.
Long shot, long rebound for Joyner.
And actually, long rebounds give a little bit of an advantage to NC State. They don't want to have to grind it out underneath against this physical Clemson team.
You don't have to watch the Wolfpack for long to see the confidence with which they play, but it bears repeating. Clemson beat them twice during the regular season, by 14 at Clemson on December the 30th, and then by 25 less than 2 weeks ago in Raleigh. Burns. He's a lefty, didn't get the call. Big fella, but great footwork, good hands, and he has been a major force for State this year. Galloway unimpeded all the way to the rim.
And give credit there to Ian Shefflin for screening off the help defender to allow that drive all the way to the basket by Galloway.
3 minutes in, the Wolfpack by 4. Smith draws the foul. Tough to keep him in front of you.
You get your chest on him, and he sold that call very well. But you have to press up on Terquavion Smith because he can shoot it from so deep, and that gives him that first step to be able to get around you.
And that's a big loss for Clemson. That is the second foul already on Brevin Galloway. Brad Brownells had to go to his bench. Redshirt freshman Josh Beadle is into the game as the reverse goes for Joyner. And Clemson is very, very young in their second unit. One of the reasons is they're without an upperclassman in Alex Hemingway, who underwent an emergency appendectomy a couple of days ago. So he is out, and it's basically, for the most part, freshmen off the bench for Clemson.
Good little brush screen up top to free Jack Clark for that pick and pop action. And he can make that shot. He's a good perimeter shooter that can really stretch a defense.
Clark getting the start because Greg Gant is out tonight. Suffered a knee injury in the win last night. Ian Shefflin, who kept the toe down, but it's out of bounds and back over to NC State. The Wolfpack 23-9 on the season, 12-8 in the league, and they come in as the 6th seed, playing their second game in as many nights. This is the first game for Clemson. They got the double bye, being one of the top 4 seeds.
Well, Clemson does such a good job of staying in gaps. They're physical on the ball, and they show you bodies, not wood. Nice up and under move.
Burns couldn't finish it, though.
Still had to finish through the chest of P.J. Hall. That's not easy to do. When you turn your back on the inbounder, Jarkel Joyner is smart enough to take advantage of it. He sees the defender's back, throws it right off of him, comes in. Now, I think you should get an assist and a bucket there. That should be an assist, or at least Chase Hunter should get it. Great play by Jarkel Joyner.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by New York Life. Over 12,000 agents there to help guide you through life's happiest and most difficult times. And Dave & Buster's, the best place to watch your team with your team. Well, as we mentioned, a big win for State last night. About the only downside was an injury suffered in the game. But more, here's Holly.
Well, that's right. Greg Gant went down with a very awkward-looking knee injury to his right knee in the game last night. And Coach Keats called this a big blow. He had just really started to play very well for them. He's come back for a couple of different things this season. playing 17 minutes a game. He has been a big-time glue guy for the Wolfpack. He has been on crutches out here, a heavy brace on that right knee, and Coach Keith said they're not exactly sure the extent of his injury. They were going to talk about getting an MRI, but we'll let you know when we have more on that.
So, Jay, what do they lose without Gant, and what do they get or gain by having Jack Clark, a former starter himself this year, taking his place?
Well, Jack Clark can stretch the floor, which is not something that Greg Gant does at 6'8" and a junior. But Gant is a really good defender. He can defend multiple positions. He can switch out. A good rebounder. He had 10 rebounds earlier this year against Wake Forest. And he brings a ton of energy.
So over and back on Clemson.
You're going to see Ebenezer Duana play more in Gant's absence. Probably Ernest Ross, who's about 6'9", another good energy guy. He'll need to do more. You know, nobody has to be Superman in Gant's absence, but you're going to have players off the bench do more.
Ebenezer Duana has come into the game in the middle for DJ Burns for State. Duana had 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks off the bench. A great effort last night.
I think DJ Burns there was putting on some sort of headband or something for his hair, something you and I don't have to worry about anymore.
That's many, many years in the rearview mirror. Then Middlebrooks in off the bench for Clemson, sophomore from Fort Lauderdale. Again, they are very young on the bench.
You know who Ben Middlebrooks' uncle is, don't you?
Who?
Danny Cannell.
Oh, right.
So Ben is not going to his uncle for help with his homework.
Beadle no, and Middlebrooks the foul. How do you evaluate the case of this team? Again, we talked to Brad Brownell about it. You know, there are some teams who don't have those big wins, but they don't have the troubling losses. Clemson has some really good wins, but 2 or 3 losses that kind of stand out on their resume. Which kind of, you know, if two teams have similar numbers, but one's got the better wins, but also the troubling losses, which case do you prefer?
The first thing you look at if you're evaluating two teams is which of the two do you think is better? And if you can't answer that question, then you go to the paper. But I'm not troubled by a couple of losses. All these teams are going to have losses. What my thing is, who can you beat? And Clemson's proven they can beat good teams.
Yeah.
And look, every committee member is going to vote their own conscience and the way they look at it. All the votes are different. I don't think the committee's necessarily of one mind. But when I look at Clemson, I see a tournament team.
I agree with you. Tyson knocks down the 3. First team All-ACC, Hunter Tyson. Almost 16 points per game, almost 10 rebounds per game.
And with all respect to Quentin Post of Boston College, who was the ACC's most improved player, I thought that Hunter Tyson should have been first team All-ACC and the ACC's most improved player. He went from good player to star. Like, he is a bona fide star that's a complete player. He knocks down threes. He just hit his 77th 3 of the season with a little late pressure. You know, he averages just under 10 rebounds per game. That's 4th in the league. The jump that he made from last year to solid starter to first team All-ACC, you have to give that young man a ton of credit. He has worked to be one of the best players in the league and one of the most respected players in the league.
Remember, he broke his collarbone last year. 2 years ago, took, I think, a knee to the face, suffered facial fractures. One of the best things, maybe the best thing Clemson's had going for it this year is they've had a healthy Hunter Tyson and a healthy P.J. Hall. Both of those guys have dealt with multiple injuries in their careers. Joyner got his man in the air, didn't he?
He is so good with hesitation moves, that little juke move and the shot fake, drawing the foul. He is a player, man.
Holly.
Well, Hunter Tyson's not only terrific on the court, but right before the game, he was given the Skip Prosser Award, given annually to the top scholar athlete in the ACC. It's, of course, named after former Wake Forest coach, but he is a 4-time member of the All-ACC academic basketball team. He's got a 3.9 GPA with an emphasis in athletic leadership, member of the president's list, and there you see him getting it from Commissioner Jim Phillips before the game. He is a terrific athlete. Not only that, guys, he has fought through a lot. A broken collarbone, a broken bone in his face. This is a tough young man. Good grades, great on the court. What don't you love about Hunter Tyson?
You love to see it. Now hoping to cap off his career with a trip to the NCAA tournament as Burns checks back in for State.
Well, to answer Holly's question, I hear he's not a great dancer.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Well,
present company excluded. The things I have to say, America.
You didn't have to say it. You just kept me from saying it.
Wolfpack by 6.
The job Chase Hunter's done this year for Clemson, switching over to the point guard position. He was a guy last year would hunt his own shot. Now he's doing that. He's scoring and running the team. 7th in the league in assists. He's got a 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio and still averaging about 13, 14 points a game.
Casey Morcell returns for the Wolfpack.
Casey Morcell back into the game as Joyner gets a breather. Clemson started off the year 7-0 in ACC play. They were 18-4 overall at one point. Got into the rankings, took some losses down the stretch, and now hoping to get hot here again late in the season. But they got a tough challenge tonight. Yeah, they're the 3 seed and State's the 6. Nice spin move there by Middlebrooks, and he'll head to the line. But I think this State team is one that you don't have to watch a lot of them to say if they're clicking, they can play with just about anybody.
Well, especially their guards, that guard trio with Morcell, Smith, and Joyner. Those guys can make shots from anywhere. But that last play when Middlebrooks caught the ball in the middle of the lane, he got that deep post position. But DJ Burns just has to stay between him and the basket. If he pivots in there, who cares if he pivots out toward the wing or toward the top of the key? You're protecting the basket.
Hunter's going to sit now. So Hunter's on the bench. Hall is on the bench. It is Beadle and Dylan Hunter, younger brother of Chase, in the backcourt right now for the Tigers.
There's a lot of Hunters going on in the game. Hunter Tyson, Dylan Hunter, Chase Hunter. It's better to be the hunter than the hunted.
Brad Brownell knew he would need some strong contributions from the bench tonight against this NC State team, which in spite of some injuries this year has showed impressive depth. Burns. If you don't like DJ Burns, you don't like fun. He is fun to watch.
Well, just the back down of Ben Middlebrooks. And Middlebrooks did a good job just being physical with him and making him score over the top. He made a tough shot over pressure.
Burns started his career at Tennessee and then came from Winthrop. Big South Player of the Year last year for the Eagles.
Nice job by Smith to stay in front on that drive.
That's a pretty good look there for Hunter Tyson. Won't go. And now he's got his hands full with the big fella again. And over the back, Jack Clark.
DJ Burns, 6'9", lefty, and he is a load down in the low post. Gives a little juke move, goes back to that left hand and gets it off the glass. Nice move by the big fella.
So much going on during Champ Week. The Phillips 66 Big 12 Men's Championship continues all week. Kansas, Iowa State, and Texas have already advanced. Kansas State up 6 very early against TCU for the last spot in the semifinals. That game currently airing on ESPN2. And again, sending our best wishes to Kansas coach, Hall of Famer Bill Self, away from the team due to a health issue, will not coach at all in the Big 12 tournament. We talked about it in the first game tonight. Everybody around the college basketball world sending their best to Bill Self for a speedy recovery.
Not only one of the best coaches in the game, one of the best guys.
Yep.
Wishing all the best to Bill Self. He takes a little bit of time to get healthy.
Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Holly Rowe, NC State, Clemson. The winner will take on to Virginia in a semifinal here with the New York Life ACC tournament. A 3 misses for Chase Hunter. Long rebound, bounces to P.J. Hall. And he got caught. Yep, used the off arm, knocked down Smith, and gets called for his first. And right now, it is not going for the Tigers like it did in the 2 regular season meetings where they beat the Wolfpack by a combined 39 points. You mentioned Ernest Ross a little bit earlier. He is into the game for the first time now for the Pack.
Clemson does such a great job. Look how their help side defense is loaded up. They can turn you into a one-on-one team.
Well, Burns is getting the shots he wants. He's just not hitting them tonight.
A great save by Shefflin, and then P.J. Hall came right back to the ball. That could have easily been NC State's ball.
And a 10-second call going against Clemson.
The clock started when Shefflin got possession of the ball.
Wolfpack basketball.
So the 5th turnover committed already by the Tigers in just over 9 minutes of action.
Clemson making catches difficult for NC State.
And they still score. Smith in traffic.
If you gamble, Terquavion Smith can make you pay for it. He's just a natural scorer.
He's got 5, State by 9, their largest lead of the night.
There's a high-low. Good help by Smith.
Shefflin from the elbow, and he'll knock it down. Ian Shefflin, the sophomore from Loganville, Georgia, had an absolutely incredible game against Notre Dame on Saturday. 7 for 7, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. This is not a top 100 guy, a 3-star prospect, but a guy who seems to be getting better and better. And Brad Brownell said part of their job is to convince him how good he can be.
Well, he makes smart plays out there. Uses his body really well.
They love his passing ability.
Yeah, and he's a capable shooter when he's open.
Hall.
How pretty is that? Just spinning off the defense. Just a great feel of where the defense is playing him.
And a little spurt here from the Tigers to get back within 5. Joyner thought about it, puts it up, misses it, and back comes Clemson.
Good late pressure by P.J. Hall.
Hall for 3. Got it!
And that's what DJ Burns has a tough time with, that pick and pop action. P.J. Hall sets the screen and then pops to the open area to the 3-point line. That's a lot of ground for DJ Burns to cover.
So the size and strength of Burns at one end, and then the pick and pop ability of Hall at the other. Smith short. Clemson a ball with a chance to tie or take the lead already on a 7-0 run. And Chase Hunter is fouled.
Now watch P.J. Hall, the 2 separate plays here. Ross gets on the high side, and he just spins off to that right-handed jump hook along the baseline. Here, the pick and pop. The screen, Burns hedges toward the ball, and now he has to recover all the way out to the 3-point line. Boy, that is a versatile big guy at 6'10". They can pick and pop from the 3-point line or take you down into the post.
And a guy coming off an off-season knee injury was on a minutes restriction early in the year. Brad Brownell telling us it took him a couple of months really to feel like himself. How about Shefflin spinning, finishing, and tying the game?
He could have taken that jumper, but instead just went to the back down. And that's an example of him using his body well. He's not a guy that's going to play above the rim, but he uses his body and plays angles very effectively.
9-0 run, as you can see, Clemson to tie the game. Smith keeps the dribble alive. Follow won't go. And it's Clemson ball with a chance to push.
Numbers.
Dylan Hunter, yes. Timeout, Kevin Keats.
Clemson just keeps grinding at both ends of the floor. Skilled big guys. And you mentioned Ian Shefflin just taking advantage, using that body, getting right into the defender. And then Clemson with the run out, a 3-on-2, and a terrific take to the basket by Dylan Hunter.
The latest bracketology update from Joe Lunardi. Clemson moved up even coming into this game. North Carolina was first 4 out. Dr. Lenardi's got them down on the next 4 out. Clemson was next 4 out. Now they are first 4 out. Arizona State on ESPN after this game tonight against USC. If you're a Clemson fan, you'll want to see what the Sun Devils are up to. Holly.
Well, in that last NC State huddle, a couple of frustrations boiling over, teammates talking to each other, and DJ Burns just saying, hey guys, we got to stay together right now. Coach Keats reminded them this is a game of runs. Basketball is a game of runs. We went on ours, they went on theirs. Everybody just settle back in.
Well, they continue to be on theirs. A steal and finish for Dylan Hunter, and it is now a 13-0 run for the Tigers.
And that's an example of Clemson and their gap protection. You know, their help side defense is so good. You know, they play the ball. They don't just play their man. And the ball keeps them in good position on help side. But NC State needs to get more pressure on Clemson on their defensive end. That's how they won the game against Virginia Tech, was through their defense. They made shots, but their defense is what set them up. And when you're driving, that initial, look how the help is positioned. He's driving into 3 Clemson Tigers. There is nowhere to go. And just really good hands by Hunter there to take it the other way. And you know, NC State's not a team that turns the ball over a lot. They've got a really high turnover margin. They only turned it over like 9.5 times a game and a +4 turnover margin. That's one of the best in the country and the best in the ACC.
A burst of speed from Traquavion Smith, but a tough shot that doesn't come close, and it's back over to the Tigers.
You know, Clemson's defense turns you into a one-on-one team. And you can get penetration against Clemson, but it can sometimes be 1 or 2 dribble penetration. Then you've got to spray it out and play out of it. If you're going to try to take it all the way off a dribble move, their help side's too good.
And Kevin Keats told us this morning this is a tough matchup for them. Jack Clark with a steal and lays it in. That's a big bucket for State. Snaps the 13-0 run.
Really nice play by Jack Clark to just shoot the gap. Greg Gant out with that injury, up and cheering on his teammates.
P.J. Hall on the bench right now for Clemson. And Middlebrooks up front with Tyson. This is Shefflin. Spins. A little bit short. Tyson the rebound. In some traffic. And he'll kick it back out. Middlebrooks draws a foul on Duana.
Just a bit of a lazy pass, just trying to get it back out for a reversal, and Jack Clark takes it the other way. And Brad Brownell, coaches tend not to like turnovers for touchdowns. You cannot defend a run out. You just make a pass fake and let the defender shoot the gap and then make the pass.
Clemson, an original member of this conference. They have never won the ACC tournament. They have made the final twice. They are trying, this is their first game here in the 70th edition of the ACC tournament. The 29th time it has been here in Greensboro. You know, with the 4 teams that we had here for the night session, Carolina, Virginia first, and now Clemson and NC State, all relatively close to varying degrees here to Greensboro. All have traveled well. You see red and blue and orange and purple and everything in the building here tonight. It's fun. Knocked away, recovered by Smith. Back to Burns.
Two big, strong bodies going at one another.
And a play on. And now a foul.
Yeah, called goaltending.
Goaltending, yeah. Well, you're not kidding about 2 big, strong guys.
Chase Hunter and P.J. Hall return to the Clemson lineup.
Middlebrook sits. Hall is back. So a different challenge now with the defensive end for Burns.
You have to expect that Clemson's going to go back to some of that pick and pop action, try to move DJ Burns around.
Tyson into Hall. Jump hook. No. Shefflin in the right place at the right time. Kick out to Hunter for 3.
But what a play by Ian Shefflin. Such a good position rebounder and a wedge rebounder on the offensive end. When he didn't have the immediate stick back, he's got the basketball IQ to look out for an open three-point shooter.
He's all over the place. Hair's flying. Jersey's coming untucked. Burns inside. Nothing much you can do there.
And when he spins off, if you get on the high side of him, if he goes middle, at least he's going away from that left hand when he's on the left block.
Shefflin over a couple of defenders for the basket.
In the first two games that Clemson and NC State played, Ian Shefflin had 6 points in each game against the Wolfpack.
It's amazing how far out Burns starts his move and how deep he can get. This time the kick. Joyner misses the three.
You know, the tempo and rhythm of this game favors Clemson.
A little bit slower than State would like.
It's not so much the slower, but they're just making him guard in the half court instead of letting NC State get out in full court where they're really dangerous.
Beadle turns it over.
Joyner's so good with the ball. He changes speed so well.
We talked about it, 20 points, 10 assists last night against Virginia Tech. Now on the right side of the floor, Burns.
Now he wants to get to the middle.
Always wants to get to his left hand, and Jay somehow always does get to his left hand. Crowd wants, or the Clemson, the State fans rather, want a flop as well. They don't get it, but they do get the bucket for Burns.
Well, the fact that we've seen a bunch of guys go down on some of these back downs, and P.J. Hall taking advantage there of D.J. Burns out by the three-point line, and that draws him away from the basket. But the fact that they haven't been called and no flop was called either shows that, you know, the referees aren't fooled. They don't need this flop call. Just don't call it.
Foul on Burns. His second.
P.J. Burns is a load inside. Just drops that shoulder. P.J. Hall goes down. And then it's a pretty easy score. Once your guy's on his back, hard to block a shot. That's my experience anyway.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. When you take care of your team, they take care of business. And Chang Can Dunk, an original movie, streaming March 10th only on Disney+. We got a good one here between Clemson and NC State, the winner to advance into the semis to take on Virginia tomorrow night. Coming up at the half, it's the All-State Halftime Report. Reese Davis. See, Reese Davis. LaFonso Ellis. Say hi, Fonz.
Hi, Fonz.
Hi, Fonz. And last but not least, Coach Greenberg. They will tell you about the Heels. They're done in the ACC tournament, and you've got to believe their hopes of an NCAA tournament bid are done as well. Duke and Miami winning earlier today will meet in the semifinal tomorrow night. The Canes and the Blue Devils split their two matchups. A narrow win by Duke in Durham, and then Miami ran Duke out of the gym down in Coral Gables. That'll be an interesting matchup tomorrow night.
Looking forward to halftime with Reese, Fonz, and the coach. But we have blown out the budget here at the ACC tournament, and the lion's share of the budget has gone for hair and makeup, especially hair for Reese Davis. You should see the amount of people that first have to staple that toupee onto that head and then work it from there. The amount of hairspray.
It looks good.
It looks spectacular.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear about how good it looks, say hello to Reese and he'll tell you all about it.
Well, of the five of us, he's the only one getting any work done on his hair. In case you're wondering, because from behind we look the same. That's me. That's him. Why we're not taking advantage of the NIL space we've got up there is beyond me.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yep. Clemson by 6. They trailed, went on a 13-0 run.
Very little for NC State in transition. And Chase Hunter's done a nice job on Terquavion Smith.
Tyson down with a rebound in traffic off the miss by Smith.
Hunter Tyson, one of the best defensive rebounders in the country. He gets about 8 defensive rebounds a game.
Last night, by the way, Terquavion Smith, 11 for 13. Tonight, 2 for 9. All faces up on Dewana. And left it short.
Nice job by Dewana. He had such a good game against Virginia Tech. Had 11 points in that first half. He's just so energetic. Blocked a couple of shots. Just a presence.
Boy, Smith had Tyson on him. Elected to pass off instead of going at him. Joyner rejected by Hall. That surprises me. Smith can get by just about anybody and had a big guy on him, but passed the ball away.
But anytime you drive, you're driving into help. And that help is so well positioned. P.J. Hall right in the middle of the lane. You know, Clemson just rallies to the ball. Everybody in the appropriate gap.
Smith with his 3rd field goal of the night. State back within 4.
He doesn't need much room, does he? Any little opening, and he gets up and gets that shot off so quickly. Just an explosive offensive player. I don't think NC State is putting enough pressure on the ball. They're really not making Clemson as uncomfortable as they need to. And a nice job by Casey Marcel there, but he picked up the foul.
NC State foul on 0. Terquavion Smith, 2nd personal.
And this is where Kevin Keats talks about the difficulty in the matchup. Either they've got a guy like Burns having to chase Tyson or Hall out to the 3-point line, or if Burns is on the bench, Jay, they're giving up some size down low.
Well, Clemson presents some really difficult matchup problems when they have P.J. Hall and Hunter Tyson on the floor at the same time. Both of them can go into the post depending on the matchup guarding them, and both of them can knock down threes. And between them, they've knocked down over 100 threes on the year.
Both are very good foul shooters as well.
Actually, that's a real strength of Clemson. They've got 4 guys that shoot over 80% that play the most minutes.
They are 3rd in the nation as a team, shooting over 79% from the line.
And how valuable is that going down the stretch in big games?
Terquavion Smith went to the bench. That foul his 2nd, so he'll sit for the rest of the half.
Roll replace action.
Clark for 3.
So when that ball screen was set by Dewana, Jack Clark was in the middle of the lane. As Dewana rolled out of it, Clark just replaced up the lane.
Hunter Tyson saying to one of the officials, he's grabbing my jersey.
I mean, this is an incredibly physical team, Clemson. And they dish it out. And you have to expect you're going to get some of it back, and NC State's giving it back.
Hunter races, Dylan Hunter races into the front court.
Hunter's got good speed. Good passer. How about that pass?
Shefflin for 3, the assist to Chase Hunter. And Ian Shefflin again is playing some great basketball here for the Tigers.
That was a 35-foot hook pass.
Final minute of the first half, Clemson to buy a half dozen.
Same play again, that roll replace action.
Deep one for Clark. And it goes.
Yeah, that's 6 points just off that one play, that one action.
And Brad Brownell will take a timeout here to set something up at the end of the half.
We talked about the value of Jack Clark, who transferred in from LaSalle. Well, he's knocked down 2 big threes to make it a 1-possession game.
Got it.
Now watch Jack Clark right here. So there's going to be a ball screen out top, and then the roll action. So all the defense is going to the roll. Shefflin recovers, but Jack Clark replaces up. So they call that roll replace action, with Clark being the replace guy. And NC State's run that twice in a row, and Clark has gotten 2 3-point shots off him, nailed them both. And those were really big shots for NC State to make this a 1-possession game.
Clark started the first 15 games of the season before suffering an abdominal injury at a game against Clemson. Actually missed 10 games. Now that Greg Gant is out, Clark back into the starting lineup tonight. Clemson basically could hold right down to the end here. A 1-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock. Chase Hunter down to 10.
Back screen, ball screen.
Galloway finds Hall. Hall with a hop step and is called for the offensive foul. His second.
So now NC State, he bobbled it here. That's why they didn't call the walk. But a good job right there by Breon Pass to take the charge, and now just under 4 seconds. And you can dribble it a couple times to get a shot off.
Joyner does. As the first half comes to a close, good competitive first half between two good teams here, with Clemson leading 39-36. 50 for Smith and Joyner last night. Still doing well, but a little more in check. The field goal percentage down quite a bit, 17 in the first half. Holly Rose with Brad Brownell.
Well, Coach, you guys had a great stretch in the first half, a 13-0 run. How did P.J. Hall start to employ him a little bit differently?
Well, I think we had a nice mix of, we posted him some early and then got him away from the basket. He knocked in a couple threes. Thought our guys were a little nervous the first few minutes. Hopefully we're settling in now.
Looks like it. Just when you think you've done a good job on their guards, you know, Joyner has been quiet. You've done a good job on Smith. Clark's gotten loose. What do you change there defensively?
You know, not much. I mean, you're going to have to give up a couple things. The last one he made was really deep, so I'm pleased with how we're guarding. We just got to do it for another 20 minutes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Holly.
Trying to beat State for the third time this year. They are up 3 at halftime. Clemson really could use another good win. Time for the halftime report now with Seth and Fonz. Here's Reese.
All right, Dan, and to be clear, that should be here's Reese and the guys. Whoa! With us on the All-State halftime report. Earlier tonight here in Greensboro, the story of the latter part of the season has been, can North Carolina play its way into the tournament? Caden Shedrick with the dunk for Virginia, and the Tar Heels made runs at the Cavaliers, but the Cavs had an answer every time. Armand Franklin.
Yeah, Cavaliers did a great job playing late into the clock, basically having North Carolina chase them all over the floor.
No question about it, Seth. And I thought North Carolina didn't create any pace in this game to get out and get some easy ones in transition, and that Virginia defense put a stranglehold on their offensive movement.
A lot of questionable shots late. Virginia beats North Carolina. Some frustration outside the Tar Heels locker room afterwards that really their resume is devoid of bad things, but it doesn't have a lot of good things. Their analytics say there's 19% chance they make the tournament. What do you think?
They're not an NCAA tournament team. They lacked an identity all season long. They weren't a transition team. They weren't a half-court defensive team. I mean, a half-court offensive team. They didn't pound you on the glass. They didn't pound you in the paint. They just played too many games where they didn't take good shots. Yeah. They were void of that Carolina identity.
Yeah, and missed opportunities late, Seth. Didn't beat Duke on their home floor, and they'd come here, and they really needed to get at least to the semifinals in order to have a chance. This is not an NCAA tournament team.
Okay, so that's North Carolina State. They'll find out if that's accurate on Sunday. Everyone suspects it will be. Now, game right now, what do you see in the first half? NC State got off to a great start, but Clemson, that 13-0 run sort of changed the momentum of the game.
My favorite big in the ACC, as Seth knows, is P.J. Hall. His ability at 6'10" to be able to not only post it, but step away and knock down the three. You've seen the full array of his skills on the offensive end, even block the shot as well.
Yeah, if State can't score, they can't get in the pressure. So now all of a sudden, now they're playing in half-court defense where they can't be as disruptive, which has enabled Clemson to basically spread the floor and attack matchups. They put different people in the post, draw doubles, and play out of that. They got to score to be able to get in that pressure, State.
Top seed survived, 74-72. Miami and Duke tomorrow. Virginia awaits the winner of Clemson NC State. P.J. Hall hoping to hold that Tiger lead in the second half.
This halftime report is presented by Allstate. reminding you that college basketball season is mayhem.
Welcome back to ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. This is the New York Life ACC Tournament. Good one here in the final quarterfinal. P.J. Hall with 11 points, made 3 threes, 3 of the 4 that he tried for Clemson. And that's one of the reasons why the Tigers have a 3-point lead on the Wolfpack for NC State. Jarkel Joyner in double figures with 10. Terquavion Smith with 7. DJ Burns with 8. But it is a 3-point lead for Clemson, trying to beat State for the 3rd time this season. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, what did you like about Clemson's offense in the first half?
They were efficient. I mean, they've got so many versatile big guys, and they did a good job of putting NC State into some ball screen situations. I thought NC State overhelped. Watch, you can see a little dribble handoff, and then there was overhelp by DJ Burns. He stayed with the ball too long, and he's got to recover out to P.J. Hall, and P.J. Hall knocks down one of those 3 threes. And then everybody in the lane, and Hunter Tyson does a nice job of relocating, and Casey Morcell has a long closeout. They knock down another 3, but Clemson, they shot 54% in that first half, but they didn't get as many shot attempts as NC State because they turned it over 8 times.
And a foul on P.J. Hall right off the bat here in the second half as we check in with Holly.
Kevin Keats kept using the word fight. We've got to fight. We're not fighting for position. We're too far behind. P.J. Hall is hurting us inside. Our guards have got to fight. They've got to put more ball pressure on the ball. He just kept talking about they're just not fighting hard enough, particularly their defensive positioning. Let's see if they can get it a little bit better right now.
Holly, thank you. A significant foul, the 3rd on Hall, and Brad Brownell has to take one of his stars, Jay, out of the game right away here in the second half.
And without P.J. Hall on the floor, Clemson becomes less versatile offensively. Ben Middlebrooks comes in, and he's more of an interior player. He's not going to be knocking down threes. So all of a sudden, DJ Burns can stay in the middle of the lane.
Nice touch there by Chase Hunter to extend the lead to 5, as Hall is now relegated to the role of a cheerleader on the Clemson bench. Again, big picture for those around the country may not be all that familiar. NC State seems safely in the tournament. Clemson, although they are the 3 seed in the ACC, they've got some good wins, but a couple of losses that jump out on you. Joe Lunardi right now has them out of the field in the first 4 out as Hunter knocks down another one. So a win over NC State, a 3rd win this year over the Wolfpack, would be extremely meaningful for the Tigers.
Well, you can see Chase Hunter with those 2 buckets after halftime. The second one coming in transition after a sloppy turnover by NC State. And what do you do to stop that? Once he gets into your chest, knocks you back, doesn't matter whether you're as strong as Ben Middlebrooks. You take that kind of jolt, it's hard to hold your position.
He is now 5 for 9, DJ Burns, and Jay, I think all 9 of them, he's gotten back to his strong hand, to his left hand. With his size, he's going to get going the way he wants to get going. You play against anybody like him?
Not quite like him, no.
Hunter again.
The only guy I played against like DJ Burns was probably Jim Smith of Ohio State, playing pro ball in Italy. When he took him a while to get down the court. He was older, but when he did, boy, he locked you down.
And there's a little added element to his game. The first time, little fadeaway jumper off one leg for DJ Burns, and he is keeping State close.
And how about the bumps he was taking from Ben Middlebrooks? I mean, you talk about physical.
Big South Player of the Year a year ago at Winthrop.
His coach was Pat Kelsey, who's now the head coach at Charleston. They'll be playing in the tournament. They've won over 30 games. They're going to be a tough out. They shoot a ton of threes, and they play a really fast tempo.
Jack Clark hit a couple of big threes in the first half for the Wolfpack.
I'm so impressed with Clemson's defense. Good cut.
And how about a nice, pretty bounce pass from Burns? And State within 3.
And because of the spread floor, and that's part of the value of Jack Clark in addition to his rebounding. He's a very good rebounder. This is the best rebounding year he's ever had as a college player.
Shefflin had a big first half. And Middlebrooks fouled by Burns, and that'll be the third on him.
Well, DJ Burns posting up on the wing, and just a quick 45-degree cut by Jack Clark. And look at this. I mean, you kidding me? That's a lot of contact there. Looked like a sumo wrestling match.
And after that call on Burns, Kevin Keats stood for about 10 seconds with his hands on his head, and you could see him thinking to himself, what do I do? What do I do? And at the last moment, he called Dewana, sent him to the scorer's table, so Burns will be coming out at the next whistle. And that whistle is now. So Hall on the bench for Clemson, Burns on the bench for State.
Both coaches trying to buy a little time. Brad Brownell trying to buy time before he can put P.J. Hall back in the game. And Hall standing up just so he could try to stay loose a little bit.
Tyson. Yes.
When he shoots it from the catch spot, it's down. I mean, Hunter Tyson shoots over 40% from three, just about 50% from the field, and almost 85% from the line. Talk about an efficient front court player. That's him.
And how about the 31-point, 15-rebound effort he had in the first win of the year over the Wolfpack?
Well, he's had 15 double-doubles on the season. Been about as consistent at a high level as any player in the ACC, let alone any big guy.
Smith, and Middlebrooks is called for the foul.
The Tigers fouls whistle on number 10, and Middlebrooks, second personal.
Well, North Carolina State overall has done a pretty good job on Hunter Tyson. He hasn't had too many openings, but this one, after the screen by Shefflin on the ball reversal, you shoot it from the catch spot, it's down, and the bench loves it.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. When you take care of your team, they take care of business. Started with 15 teams. It's getting whittled down here into Greensboro. 5 remain. Miami and Duke in the first semifinal tomorrow, and then Virginia against the winner of this one. So the Virginia coaching staff is still in the house here, Jay, doing a little bit of scouting. What did you like about the Who's performance against Carolina?
I thought Virginia was just so good on the offensive end. They got in that mover blocker offense, and their cutting and passing was immaculate. And they were able to get into the paint. They outscored North Carolina. I think it was 28-20 in the paint. And it seems like, North Carolina should have the paint advantage, but with the passing and cutting and the play of Reese Beekman and Kihei Clark, it's really impressive by Virginia to get a second win on the season over North Carolina.
Played without Ben Vanderplas, who unfortunately broke his hand in practice yesterday, done for the season, and got very capable minutes from both Francisco Caffaro and Caden Shedrick up front. Galloway hoists it up with 5 on the clock, and it's down to Dewana and the Pack.
Pretty good pressure on the ball on that possession by NC State. Didn't think of the first half. They impacted the ball as much as they could have, but another turnover, a couple of sloppy turnovers, even though North Carolina State's shooting 75% in the second half. They're 3 of 4. I mean, you cough the ball up, you don't get a shot off, and that was really in large measure the difference in the first half. It was 8-4 in turnovers in favor of NC State, and that's why NC State had more shot attempts. Even though they didn't shoot as good a percentage as Clemson did, they got more shots.
And Clemson's basically gone 5 minutes now without P.J. Hall. He picked up that third foul 14 seconds, I think it was, into the second half, and they have extended a 3-point lead to 6 with one of their stars on the bench. Shefflin fights to get it off, but it rolls off the rim.
Nice job by Jack Clark just to stay between Shefflin and the basket and just force a difficult shot. Boy, a tough pass.
Yeah.
Even if Dewana catches it, what's he going to do with it?
And Terquavion Smith not having nearly as much fun tonight as he did last night.
Well, he shot some deep ones last night.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even a low. Let's put it this way. The referees didn't have to go to the monitor to see if anybody's foot was on the line on a 3. There was no doubt.
Yeah, it's whether the heels were on the logo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It would be an over and back violation before it would be a foot on the 3-point line.
Well, and you could see it was just one of those nights where they just knew the ball was going in. You know, kind of like Clemson had against NC State a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes you just have those nights. Turn around. Off the rim for Chase Hunter, and Dewana down with a rebound.
A nice block out by Dewana.
Marcel with a quick release from the corner, can't hit it, and Middlebrooks wraps up the rebound. Hunter being aggressive, had it swatted away. But there for the follow is R.J. Godfrey, and it's the largest lead of the night for the Tigers.
Well, Clemson's got some good-looking freshmen. R.J. Godfrey, his dad, played in the NFL. Randall Godfrey, he was a linebacker for about 10, 11 years in the NFL.
Jaquavion Smith now 3 for 11. Good look here. And it goes for Dylan Hunter. Great ball movement by the Tigers, and Kevin Keats wants another timeout.
Boy, the turnovers and poor decisions by NC State against Clemson's defense have put the NC State defense in a bad spot. The closeout and then a great kick out by Godfrey to a wide open shooter. And Clemson feeling it right now and stretching out that lead.
A look at what's going on in the Pac-12 men's tournament presented by New York Life. UCLA and Oregon have already advanced to the semis. Arizona, Stanford are playing now. And again, right after us tonight, here on ESPN, USC and Arizona State, as we have mentioned. The Sun Devils are a bubble team. So let's say you're a fan of, I don't know, Clemson. You'll want to stick around and watch Arizona State to see how they make out tonight. It's all about rooting for your team, Jay, and rooting against some others if you want to see your team get in.
Boy, good work by Ben Middlebrooks down in the low post. That was chest to chest.
Let's go to Holly.
Well, guys, very positive NC State last huddle. Coach Keats trying to infuse some positivity in his guys, saying, hey, we're fine, but we've got to get stops and we've got to rebound. Them not rebounding has been a big issue. They talked about going into some zone here. We'll see if they do it, but he's trying to stay positive even though they're down big right now.
That's going to be a little tougher after that. Ben Middlebrooks with a bucket. It's a 10-0 run for Clemson.
And Middlebrooks has really fought DJ Burns at both ends of the floor.
Around and out for Clark, and what a rebound by Hunter Tyson.
Well, that's what he does. He's one of the best defensive rebounders in the country. You know, in NC State, some of the turnovers have really set NC State back in this second half.
Middlebrooks for 3. Left it short. Burns back into the game for State. Hall remains on the bench for the Tigers.
NC State trying to make something happen off the very first action. They need to get a reversal.
How about the minutes Middlebrooks has given them?
Yeah, just a really poor pass, though, by Terquavion Smith. You have to pass away from the defense, not just to the offense. And Middlebrooks was able to break contact and get around, knock that ball away. Just a lazy pass for NC State.
Now a turnover and a run out for Smith. Whoa! You're not going to catch him. Smith thought he might have been fouled by Hunter, but a big bucket for the Wolfpack.
Well, NC State needs some more stops like that. And here they go with a little bit of zone 2-3. They're going to bring the wings up a little bit. So the corners are a place you can attack into the short corner. Godfrey staying behind the defense.
Tough catch by Middlebrooks. 4 to shoot. I don't know if he knows it. Godfrey did. Left it short, but they get it back. Tough pass stolen away by Clark. And again, it's Smith on a run out for a bucket.
Well, your half-court defense, if you're Clemson, has been so good. And then a couple of turnovers, and NC State gets layups and plays ahead of your defense.
And a little change of momentum here after going zone. Terquavion Smith, a couple of buckets. And NC State trying to fight back into it. Got it down to single digits. Defense turning into offense for the Wolfpack. Down by 9, a lot of time left. Well, balanced scoring for Clemson tonight. 5 guys between 8 and 11 points, led by P.J. Hall. who was on the bench for over 9 minutes, picked up a foul 14 seconds into the second half. Brad Brownell sat him down. And probably, if you were to ask Brad, probably sat him down for longer than he thought he would because Clemson played so well in his absence.
Yeah, NC State turned the ball over. And the turnovers have been a problem for the Wolfpack in this second half. Those are shots that you don't get. But one thing, PJ Hall, if he's on Burns defensively, he's got to play low and give himself some leverage. He picked up that third foul just being too straight up and down. And NC State going to stay with this zone.
Tyson got free of Clark, but missed the baseline jumper.
Clark bothered it a little bit when he went up. I'm surprised that Tyson didn't take it a little bit further toward the rim.
All covering Burns, and again, each of them with 3 fouls. Bounce pass again in traffic, but Joyner can't finish. Joyner had 10 points in the first 7 minutes of the game, none since.
And when you cut off at DJ Burns, one, he can hit you with that pass, but also if he doesn't, that clears the area for a double team, and he can go one-on-one in the post.
Hall, turnaround, yes.
That's where he's dangerous. In the middle of that zone, he can turn and make that short shot. He can get out and set a ball screen against the zone, then pop out.
Third team All ACC, PJ Hall. Tough one as Smith got bothered. Somebody reached in on him, threw him off balance a little bit on the drive.
Well, Ian Shefflin's given really good minutes to Clemson in this game. Nice pass.
And Hall will go to the free throw line.
Now take a look at PJ Hall here against the NC State defense. Down in the short corner here. And he'll just, as soon as there's a little exchange, he flashes into the middle, brings up the middleman, but he can make that shot. Not every player can operate out of the middle of the zone. And that's one reason Jim Boeheim played it for so long.
And notably, that foul is the 4th on DJ Burns. So he sits again. DeWanna comes back in.
PJ Hall is in the top 10 in the ACC in field goal percentage. Shoots 54%. He knocks down 40% of his threes, and he's hit 33 of them on the year. And he shoots over 80% from the line. And that's an efficient big man.
Yeah. Plays hard, has played through injuries in his career. And Brad Brownell describes him as about the most happy-go-lucky guy you'll meet.
Doesn't look like he avoids the weight room either.
No. Pretty good combo up front between him and Tyson.
Drop coverage, and that means it's a tough 2.
Good rebound by Shefflin. A touch for Hall. Doubled and fouled.
And when you reach in on Hall, Casey Morsell came down to dig down. You really have to go in there with 2 hands and just try to grab the ball. If you're just going to swipe at it, you're going to hit some arm.
Low foul totals for both teams. You can see 3 on State, 2 on Clemson here in the second half. And we've got less than 9 minutes to go. Good look in the corner.
Good little pin and screen by PJ Hall to free up Galloway.
You talked about it, more of a Clemson pace in this game, and it's been that way most of the night. Morsell knows.
And it's not that Clemson doesn't want to play fast, but when they get you, they take away your transition, you're going to play 5-on-5 in the half court, and their gap protection is excellent.
And they played fast there, and Galloway knocks it down. The assist to Chase Hunter. And again, it's the largest lead of the game for the Tigers, up by 16 on a team that scored 97 last night against Virginia Tech.
This is just a tough matchup for NC State.
Yeah.
You know, it really puts a ton of pressure on their front court. And Clemson, now they're in a horn set back to man-to-man. Clemson's such a well-coached defensive team.
Boy, they're getting anything they want right now. The Tigers are rolling.
Shefflin has been outstanding in this game. 6'7" tall, a sophomore from Loganville, Georgia. He's physical. He's an outstanding passer. And Clemson now in transition. Chase Hunter does a great job of getting into the paint and then kicking it back. And Shefflin, excuse me, out from the three-point line. He showed every facet of his game in this one.
Michael Leeds here with the studio update. We start in the Pac-12. Steve Wojciechowski with Arizona pulling away from Stanford.
Arizona pulled away late behind the strength of their front court. Ballo and Tubelis have combined for 44 points.
Well, Tom Crean, let's go to the Big 12. Rough and rugged game here between TCU and Kansas State.
Well, look at that lob up to Coles, takes it in, pump fake. All right, jumps over the phone, the yellow pages, I'll give you. All right, and still gets it off.
Sounds like Jay Billis's vertical.
Hey, now, first of all, yellow pages, coach? Boy, are you dating yours? We're all dating ourselves, I guess. Yeah, phone books?
My vertical was measured in sheets of paper.
19-point lead Clemson. Jay, they have had 3 different runs of 10 or more. 3 double-digit runs, 13-0 and a couple of 10-0s. Look at this work from Middlebrooks. I mean, just playing volleyball up on the glass.
Just second and third effort by both Shefflin and Middlebrooks. And really, Clemson has had great contributions off the bench. I think they've just about shut out the NC State bench, but Clemson's gotten really good production off the pine.
Middlebrooks has been great. Dylan Hunter has had great minutes tonight. 3 for 3, 8 points. Just his second made 3-pointer of the season tonight. Very impressive performance after the first 4 or 5 minutes of the game. Boy, Tyson gets rid of it in a hurry as this one rims out.
Yeah, that goes from the shooting pocket to up in a hurry, doesn't it?
Yep. Morcell, nice little bump, creates the space, and it goes in.
I don't think Chase Hunter thought it was a nice little bump.
Well, I'm comparing it to some of DJ Burns' bumps. Those are not nice little bumps.
Those are collisions.
Yeah. And a nice drive and a finish by Chase Hunter.
I'm so impressed with the play of Chase Hunter. He's moved over to that point guard spot just seamlessly.
How about that block from behind by Hunter Tyson? Boy, they are playing well at both ends. They are doing everything well right now. The spin. Oh, he got grabbed. Yep.
Well, to your point, Hunter Tyson coming from behind, the hesitation by Smith as he was trying to go through the chest of Galloway, just wiping that away before it could get to the backboard. And Hunter Tyson, can't say enough about the senior from Monroe, North Carolina, just a complete basketball player. And he's gotten better every year. Worked hard to be a consistent scorer and start as a starter last year, to being a first-team all-conference player.
And you talked to Brad Brownell about him, as we did earlier this morning, and he'll talk about his voice and his leadership and how he's a connector on this team.
And Brad Brownell has done such a nice job with this Clemson program. He's got over 400 career wins now. Both these coaches, Kevin Keats and Brad Brownell, they coached at UNC Wilmington and coached him to the NCAA tournament, and then Brad Brownell went to Wright State, and he was a pressing coach back then.
Wow. How about Ian Shefflin? Another terrific game, and terrific might be understating it. Had one against Notre Dame on Saturday, and now having an equally good game here tonight against the Wolfpack.
I don't think they're going to have to convince him anymore how good he is.
I know.
I think he gets it.
What a turnaround here in this game. NC State led by 9 early in this game. After this Shefflin bucket, we have seen a 33-point turnaround as the Tigers are now up by 24. Let's send it to Holly.
A lot of people are calling Ian Shefflin the X factor for this Clemson team. And since he came into the starting lineup when they went to this big lineup, he's really settled in and gotten comfortable. He admitted that last year he'd get thrown in the game and it would kind of freak him out. He didn't always know what he was doing, but he knows what he's doing now. His last 4 regular season games, he combined for 36 points, shot almost 70%, and he is very comfortable out there. He's been a huge factor today, and I mean that. This big lineup is making it hard for NC State to get clean looks.
Yeah, he has had a terrific couple of weeks, and with each passing minute on their way to their 3rd win of the year over NC State. We talked about it. Big picture again. That's what people are talking about here in Champ Week. They're a bubble team. Joe Lunardi moved them from next 4 out to first 4 out earlier tonight.
They're in the tournament.
They're got to be in. I'm with you.
It's not even a discussion. They were in before, and they're in now.
Another quality win here. 4 minutes and 20 seconds away for the Tigers.
I mean, you know, look, this is all fun to discuss, but I'd like to hear some committee member explain to me how some of these other teams are better. They're not.
Well, Brad Brownell, this is his 13th year as the head coach at Clemson. If they get into the tournament, it would be the 4th time they get in under him. Galloway followed it up and is fouled. 3:55 to go. You won't see it yet, but boy, he's got to be pleased, beyond pleased, with his team's effort. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by New York Life. Over 12,000 agents there to help guide you through life's happiest and most difficult times. Well, here in the last quarterfinal of the night, early on, Kevin Keats' Wolfpack had a 20-11 lead. They've been outscored 61-28 since. And you saw that coming into this game. Their 2 most lopsided losses of the season were to Clemson. It's now going to be 3. The Tigers have had the Pack's number every time they've played.
And Brevin Galloway knocks down these 2 free throws. Galloway started his college career at Charleston, where he played for Earl Grant, then went to Boston College, and now having the best season, I think, of his career at Clemson.
Burns spins to the baseline, double teamed. And it's Clemson ball. All 5 starters are on the floor right now for the Tigers as Galloway lays it in. Brad Brownell still barking, still coaching. At some point, you know he's going to look at the bench and probably get all 5 of them out of there. They're going to have another game tomorrow. Virginia, by the way, beat Clemson in Charlottesville by 7 a couple of weeks ago. Breon Pass with a baseline jumper.
Well, if I were Clemson, I would think long and hard about putting some full court pressure on Virginia. And not full court pressure to speed him up, but actually full court pressure to slow him down. Take time off the clock, and then you've only got to guard their stuff in the half court for about 15 seconds or so. I mean, it's going to be a slower paced game no matter what when you play Virginia, and you might as well use some full court pressure to your advantage.
Well, for everything you want to know about what's gone on all day and night here in Greensboro, the place to turn is over on ACC Network. The Nothing But Net crew is getting ready. Kelsey Ricks, Joel Berry, Carlos Boozer, Luke Hancock, ready to roll. I think Carlos and Joel are texting each other right now.
That's how Duke guys and Carolina guys talk to each other.
They're not allowed to speak publicly, so
no eye contact.
Yeah. Carlos Boozer won 3 ACC tournament championships in his time at Duke, and he was named the most outstanding player with his tournament his junior year. Joel Berry also named the most outstanding player when Carolina won an ACC championship a few years back.
Carlos Boozer and Trajan Langdon have wonderful arguments over who was the best player ever out of the state of Alaska.
It's pretty good. Pretty good to be in that conversation. That'd be a spirited debate.
Kelsey Riggs is the one with the hard job.
Oh, absolutely.
The all-time scoring leader out of Alaska right now, though, guys, I hate to break to you, it's Alyssa Peely. She's the Pac-12 Player of the Year from the University of Utah. So I'm going to throw her name into the ring as one of the best players ever out of Alaska.
Well done.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Let's get her on that text chain.
2.5 to go. Look out.
You're not supposed to warn them.
I'm sorry. Was that my outside voice? We're not supposed to influence the game, just commentate on the game.
Talk about the announcer jinx.
State ball with 2:27 to go. You surprised all the starters are still in the game for Clemson?
Maybe a little bit, but this is Clemson's first game of the tournament. And so keeping a little momentum before you pull the plug. What you want to avoid is somewhere where a guy gets hurt, obviously, but
Tyson will go to the line.
NC State foul whistle on 24, Ernest Ross.
Foul on Ernest Ross of State. So NC State will finish up the regular season 23-10 and await their fate on Selection Sunday. They seem assured of a bid.
Brad Brownell taking his starters out. And Brad Brownell has his arms around Chase Hunter right now, and Chase Hunter played another great game. I mean, he's been great in ACC play. He's averaged about 13 points, 4 or 5 assists, and 4 rebounds in ACC play. But what did he have? 9 or 10 assists in this game. Not very many turnovers, if at all. Just a really good floor game by an outstanding player.
9 assists, 1 turnover, to your point tonight.
That is a 9-to-1 assist turnover ratio.
Yes, it is. You have been razor sharp. Ross a little strong on the 3. Will be an interesting matchup with Clemson and Virginia tomorrow night. Again, Virginia's without Ben Vanderplas, so it'll be Caffaro, Shedrick, and Gardner. Those are the 3 big guys. 2 will be on the floor at any time for Virginia, who will be tussling with the likes of Tyson and Hall. Morcell splits the defense and will go to the line for 2. Going to be fun tomorrow. Miami Duke in the first one, and then Clemson to Virginia in the second. And that means top 4 seeds, right? Chalk into the semis.
And we were all talking about how crazy it was going to be. And you've got seeds 1, 2, 3, and 4 advancing.
You know how close this conference has been. You know this well, but for folks outside the league who may not know, Pittsburgh went into the last day of the regular season. If they had gone down to Miami and won, they would have been the 1 seed. By losing, they were the 5 seed. That's how close it was for the top 5 or 6 teams in this league. And they only lost by 2 points down at Miami. Got knocked around pretty good by Duke today. Duke getting better and better by the game right now.
Well, if they knock in, anytime you have 27 assists and knock in, what did they knock in? 12 threes or something? Yes, they shot the ball ridiculously well, and Tyrese Proctor gets better by the game. By looking over at Brad Brownell, he's got to be very pleased with the way his team has played, not only all season long, but especially tonight. You know where he went to college?
No.
DePaul. Not DePaul, DePaul. You know who else went there?
No.
Brad Stevens.
Oh.
A lot of good coaches went to DePaul. Brad also played high school basketball with Calbert Chaney.
Wow.
I wonder who got more shots.
So he wasn't the leading scorer, is what you're telling me. Nearing the final minute here, an impressive performance by the Tigers and a win that you got to believe, and I know their fan base has to believe, is going to be enough to get them in regardless of what happens beyond tonight. Another quality win for Clemson tonight. Godfrey, nice pass. Wiggins for 3. A big collision got the worst of it with Middlebrooks as we are into the final 30 seconds.
Well, the semifinals of the ACC tournament are going to be fun. And the referee's trying to get in the way of some of the players, make sure that everybody keeps their cool as this thing ends up.
And Dewana not happy with the collision that he had with Middlebrooks. Middlebrooks not happy with Dewana's reaction to it.
Well, the game's been physical all game long.
Yeah. Again, Miami-Duke's going to be fascinating. The last time they met, Miami really gave it to the Blue Devils. Duke clearly is a better team now than they were a few weeks ago. Miami, the 1 seed in the league. And there's the first smile of the night. Finally got it in the last minute of play. And he and his team have earned it.
Earned 1 smile. Congratulations,
yes.
You're in the semifinal and you get 1 smile.
Right. And now the second unit will come out and the walk-ons will come in for the Tigers.
Now I think there needs to be a change in NCAA rules that when the deep bench players, the walk-ons, get into the game, that they don't have to dribble out the clock, that they get to play.
That it's not bad form if they take a shot.
Yeah, exactly. I would actually vote for extra time being put on the clock.
32,
Daniel Nassif, Jack Nassif, Matt Kelly, Devin Foster, all checking in for Clemson.
And Nassif brothers from Dayton, Ohio, and Daniel Nassif was a manager before being a player. And nobody works harder in basketball than basketball managers. If you are an employer looking for great employees, hire a basketball manager.
Yep. Shot clock turned off. We'll see if somebody gets a shot up here for Clemson.
And if they won't take the job, hire a commentator.
Because we always have tenuous job security in our current position. So,
looking for work.
That's right.
We'll work for food.
You call, we'll answer. They will let the clock run out. What a performance by Clemson tonight. Down 9 early, they win going away by 26 and beat NC State for the 3rd time this season. Pick up their 23rd win of the season and move into the semifinals at a date with a 2 seed Virginia tomorrow night here in Greensboro.
And to quote Jim Boeheim after Syracuse beat UConn in that 6 overtime game, are we in the tournament now? I think Clemson doesn't have anything to worry about. Not that they did before.
Yeah, you and I agree on that, but they'll have another opportunity to pick up another good win. But they will face a tough opponent in Virginia tomorrow night, Miami and Duke. Meeting in the first semifinal. We will have both games for you tomorrow night on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock and 9:30 Eastern. And you know the building is going to be lively with some of the teams that we've got going. Holly Rowe is with a couple of the top performers for the Tigers.
Well, really terrific game for you guys. You were dominant defensively. How did you make it so hard on NC State, who'd had such a high-scoring game in their last game?
Yeah, we knew they shot the ball really well last night. We just really wanted to come out and bully their ball screens, make it tough for them. They're a really great team in transition, so we just wanted to do anything we could, try and keep them out of transition, make them play in half court, and, just force them to only one shot, try and get every rebound.
You had a handful tonight. It was so fun watching you defend against DJ Burns. You're on the bench in foul trouble. You're standing up the whole time. How are you fighting through all of that?
Hey, it's just next play. If you start getting in foul trouble, next man up. We got a couple guys behind me that are ready to go whenever they need to be. Ben Middlebrooks had one of the best games of his career tonight. I mean, that was huge for him to come in and get some stops, rebounds, had some fouls to give. He played great, so I credit that to him, man.
That's awesome. I wanted to talk about your defensive rebounding. 11 defensive rebounds. What is the trick and how is the want to so high with you there?
Because he ain't got to box out the centers. Nah, man, I'm just trying to do whatever I can to help my team win. I know they hit the offensive glass pretty hard, so I just wanted to get in there and just, play with a lot of heart, play with a lot of passion, just do whatever I can to lead us to a win.
I know you guys have heard all the talk around you about are you in, are you not in? How do you think a win like this over a quality opponent helps make your case?
Next game on, don't matter. We want to win this first.
Sounds great. See you tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
They want to win this first, and they can move a step closer as they take on to Virginia tomorrow night. Miami and Duke in the first semifinal, and we'll have both of them for you from Greensboro on ESPN2. Tyson, Hall, and company, an outstanding performance. What a win for Brad Brownell and the Tigers, beating State for the 3rd time, and they beat them by 26 here tonight. Let's find out what else is going on as we send you back to Michael Eaves in the studio.
Welcome into Nothing But Net. What a day we had here at the Greensboro Coliseum. Clemson punched its ticket to the semifinals for the first time since 2018, sweeping NC State this season 80-54, the final in our final game of the day. And here comes the big moment. You get the win, guys. You get to punch that ticket on to the next round. Tigers are moving on. As mentioned, first time they've played in the semis since 2018. Still looking for their first ACC tournament title, and they're going to get a chance to go head-to-head with Virginia tomorrow as the semifinals bracket is set. And you see the top 4 seeds advancing to the semifinals. Just the 18th time that this has happened in the 70 years of the ACC men's basketball tournament. The 5th time since 2000 that all top 4 seeds have advanced. Shout out to West Durham for that, who is not here with us, but I've got my 3 national champs alongside Carlos Boozer, Joel Berry, Luke Hancock. I'm Kelsey Riggs. Great to be with you as we wrap up another great day here at the Greensboro Coliseum. And yesterday it was NC State with all the offense and locked in so defensively. Today Clemson came out with something to prove because they are trying to build their tournament resume to make it to the NCAA tournament. We'll get your thoughts in just a second, guys, but let's see how it all went down between NC State and Clemson, our final game of the day here. Guys, actually, we're going to talk this before we get to that highlight. And let's start with what we saw from Clemson offensively. Luke, what was your big takeaway from what these guys were able to come out and do against a team in NC State that we just saw so locked in yesterday?
I thought it was a really complete game, and I think the advantage for Clemson was on the inside. It was with the big boys, Boozer. The fact that you can send so many bodies, whether it's Godfrey or Middlebrooks. Obviously, we know about P.J. Hall and Hunter Tyson. And Shiflin, don't let me forget him. It's you can send all those bodies in and wear the other team's bigs down, not just rebounding, but defensively with their physicality. And so, to me, I thought the X factor was going to be how a guy like Chase Hunter handled the guards for NC State, but the bigs were so dominant in this game. Clemson just took the momentum early on, and they never relinquished it. What a complete game by this team.
No, to your point, I mean, NC State was so dynamic last night with scoring. They scored 50 points between the two of them. Balled out. That got Clemson's attention. They were terrific on defense. The bigs balled out as well. They were knocking down shots. Shifton was so awesome tonight. Oh, my goodness.
Everywhere, wasn't he?
He was all over the court making big shot to big shot. Obviously, P.J. Hall did what he does, did a terrific job. I feel like Clemson has something to prove. They came in, they were well prepared for NC State. They played great job on defense. They were swarming them all over the court. They stopped them in transition. Like, you look at these points right here, 4 points off the bench for NC State. That's not going to get it done against a Clemson team with something to prove. So hats off to the Tigers.
And yesterday we saw NC State have 53 points.
Yeah.
In the first half. They only had 54 tonight.
For the game.
For the game. For the game. That is Clemson coming out, listening to and going out and perfecting what their scouting report is, knowing that NC State is a team that can score the ball. They can score with the best of them. They came out, they defended Terquavion Smith and Jarkel Joyner. They didn't let them get comfortable, and it was just a complete game. They have the offensive pieces, but the difference tonight was stopping that offensive power of NC State.
4 different players for Clemson scored in double figures tonight. And you guys are mentioning that Clemson came out like they had something to prove. Joe Lenardi has been updating his bracket all day, headed into this game. Clemson was in the first 4 out. After North Carolina lost, North Carolina had moved down. Clemson had moved into the first 4 out, so they're continuing to try to build their case. Joel, why is this team a tournament team?
They passed the eye test, as Luca is always talking about. They passed the eye test, but they've had a complete season. They went through a rough patch. It's like being on an airplane and you get into the turbulence, and you're gonna have those during the season. But eventually you find some common ground where you're smooth and you're playing the way that you want to play. And that's what it was for Clemson. They went through a rough patch. They had some injuries, but now they're back to playing the way Clemson was playing at the beginning of the season when they were playing really good basketball on both sides. This is a complete team, and they're definitely a tournament team.
Real quick, when the turbulence goes off on the airplane, what kind of person are you? What do you do?
Oh, I'm like this.
That's why I asked.
I'm holding on.
I knew it. That's why I asked. Clemson might have felt like they were holding on for a little while, too, through some of that turbulence. I love that analogy.
Yeah, you want to be playing your best basketball at the end of the season. Clemson's resume, I think it speaks for itself. I mean, you finished 3rd in the ACC. Again, let's stop this nonsense. That is a tournament
resume. I like what Joel said. They certainly passed the eye test. Again, you want to play your best basketball right now. They just beat a tournament team for the 3rd time this year. And I don't know what the average is, but I think it's like 14 the first time, 25 the second time, and they just blew the doors off this team tonight.
Yep.
I think Clemson saw where they were. They saw what Joe Lunardi said, and they wanted to come out here and prove something. They wanted to say, hey, we are definitely a tournament team. We can play with anybody in the country, and I don't know what else you want from me. That was impressive. I mean, that shows me it's turning time for the Tigers.
And especially to your point that they did it for the 3rd time this season. Never easy to beat a team 3 times, but we just saw Clemson get it done today for a 3rd time against NC State. Let's show you how it all went down in this one. Clemson, as mentioned, they were the 3 seed coming into this game. NC State, the 6 seed. Early first half, NC State on top. And check out this play off the back boost.
Such a heads-up play right there. Goes off the back, gets a reverse layup. Heads-up play. That's like street ball right there, Luke.
Jarkel Joyner getting it done.
Yeah, he was smooth in the first game. This game, though, we talked about how many assists, how many turnovers last game. 4 assists for Terquavion Smith and Jarkel Joyner, and 5 turnovers.
How about Ian Schifflin, though, getting it done for his team. Then P.J. Hall knocking down the 3. Clemson down just 2. About a minute later in transition, Dylan Hunter pushes it up court all the way ahead for the go-ahead layup. That caps off a 13-0 run, Joel, for Clemson, and the momentum really starts shifting.
Yeah, it started shifting. Clemson is a team where they can bring pieces off the bench. They have guys that can come in where it's seamless, and they just put it all together. It was a complete game from this Tigers team.
Hunter Tyson knocking down the 3. Clemson building on that lead. Then a few minutes later,
Congrats.
Dylan Hunter, nice ball movement. He knocks down the 3. Part of the double-digit run by Clemson. 8.5 to go. Tigers pulling away. Brevin Galloway, give him some boost.
Great job right there finding the shooter. They've been knocking it down the whole night. 11 threes for this Tiger team.
Schifflin, another part of a 31-6 run for Clemson to put that game out of reach. 80-54, the final in this one. You see Clemson, you just mentioned those threes, Booze. It was raining threes for them. They looked good, and one of the guys who looked good is joining us on set right now. P.J. Hall sitting with us, 15 points. He knocked down 3 of their 11 threes. And P.J., congratulations on a great performance from you guys all the way around. We are sitting up here saying you guys looked like a team that had something to prove, that felt like you had something to prove. Was that the conversation inside this locker room?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the conversation last week or so. We obviously had a rough spell middle of the year. I think with 3 in a row, a couple of bad losses, but we've been a tournament team all year, and we know that. And regardless of what people are saying on the outside, we knew we had to come in here and get a win, not just for that, but also for the tournament. We have some bigger goals right now than just looking at the net and all that stuff like that. We're focused on tomorrow now, and I just set on big goals.
I love the confidence. To me, I thought I saw you guys, especially you bigs, go out there on a mission. You want to dominate the paint. It was really impressive. And the fact that you can throw so many bodies out there. I mean, what is practice like? Is it just a war zone in the paint?
Yeah, it ain't too fun every day. I tell you what, man. It's there's some big bodies. We bang you a lot, man. It's you know, we do a lot of post work individually, good on good, and also our scout team. We got one guy who's a walk-on, and I'll tell you what, Dan Steve is harder to guard some of the bigs in the ACC. He is faster than all the bigs on our team, quicker, and he's a handful. So we have some guys to make us better for sure down low.
I love it.
PJ, great job tonight. I was one of the guys on my team that wanted to set the tone for my guys. Tell me about your mindset going into every game.
No, for sure. That's always the conversation for whether it be me or Hunter Tyson. Whenever we're in the final huddle before we tip off, we got so many guys that can go out there and set the tone. But one thing we've been stressing these last few games, where we've been getting out at some great starts. Obviously tonight we were a little slow, but we picked it up after the first media. But you know, telling each other, let's set the tone early, go out there, be physical, especially on defense. That's the biggest thing right now, is they're so good in transition for tonight. We had to keep them out of transition, set the tone early that we're going to let them run up and down.
PJ, you mentioned not paying attention to the net, not paying attention to the outside. I was a guy that I felt like I fed off of all the outside noise, and it always prepared me to go out and play the best game that I could play. What mindset do you have when you're listening to all of this noise, and how do you take that and do what you do on the court?
Yeah, well, I can't lie. I mean, we definitely hear it. I mean, we're human. We're going to hear some of it. But a big thing that I credit a lot of our guys is not paying too much attention to it. Because if you let too much negative in your life, you're going to reap some of that. So one thing is, just staying focused on our common goal. And one thing that we definitely know solves all that is winning. Winning solves all. So if you go out there, you keep winning, it's going to fix that.
I like that. you know, I remember being a high seed in the conference tournament, and you're sitting there, you know, you get a break the first few days. What was going through your all's head when NC State puts up 53 points in the first half yesterday, and you're thinking, man, we play these guys tomorrow, and this team is as hot as anybody?
Slow them down.
Slow them down. That's it.
Keep them out of transition. You got Jarko Joyner and Smith. They can get up and down, run and gun, and we knew we had to keep them out of transition. And I thought that was one thing that if last night could have been a little bit different, would have been, you know, a little closer game, but they were on fire making shots, and that was big for them last night being in transition. So one stat we heard was at one point they were like 22 for 30 from two, and so we knew that we had to force tough twos, contest all those long twos, and just kind of keep them out of the open court.
What's the rehab program look like tonight? I'm over there eating, I'm going to get a shower, and I'm going straight to bed. You out up late watching film? What are you doing?
No, we'll have a night meeting tonight, but make sure we get carbs in us, some recovery stuff, and then just sleep. Make sure you get off your feet, sleep, don't be messing around, get in the room, and, you know, don't do too much.
You smell like you got some icy hot on you. I'm sure you got banged
up. Before the game, they're throwing it on my knee, on my back, and everything. I feel like I'm 40.
It's late season.
Because you've battled through a lot. What does it mean to you, the way you started this season, coming back from injury, to be now here in this position with this team?
It's everything, man. I mean, I tell you what, God never gave up, and I never gave up on him. He had a plan, and there were some rough spells. I mean, there was also some personal stuff going on in my life, and it felt like there was so much weight on my shoulders a lot of times. But my mom was always talking to me, saying, hey, there's a reason that God's giving you this right now, and we just had to fight through it. And it's great having these guys also on my team. They're always uplifting, and also the guys who are behind me right now. Like, Ben had some great games at home against NC State. He played more than me and had an incredible game at home. He was one of the biggest reasons we won there at Clemson. So having these guys on the team walking me through that time in my life was incredible, and we all love each other, so it's awesome.
Well, PJ, that is great to hear, and we definitely appreciate you sharing that with us. And before we let you go, real quick, how's Miss Paula?
She's awesome. She's
okay.
I bet she's even better right now.
Yes, she is.
I'm sure she's watching. We feel like the NCAA tournament and all of America needs Miss Paula, so we got to get her in with you guys as well. Sure. Yes, we appreciate the time. Congratulations, and looking forward to seeing what's next for you guys.
Thank you.
Good stuff from PJ, and what is next for them is a game with Virginia as you take a look at the bracket and what lies ahead for them. Now, they just played a couple of games ago, guys, to close out the regular season, and Virginia won that game. It was 64-57. As mentioned, all four of the top seeds have advanced to the tournament, to the semifinals tomorrow. So going to be interesting. First game of the day on ESPN2, Miami and Duke, the 1 and the 4 seeds. Then we will have 2 and 3 seeds going head to head. The other side of this, of course, is NC State, you guys. And we were just sitting up here yesterday talking to Terquavion Smith about the 53 points they scored in the first half. He was looking at what they did defensively because he said that they wanted to be so locked in. Luke, what does this team now need to focus on as they get ready for the NCAA tournament?
Well, you know, I think they just didn't show up with the right mindset in this game. And I played for Kevin Keats. I actually played for him at multiple places. I know this is going to light a fire under him, and it's going to be a motivating thing for these guys. But you weren't ready for the physicality. You weren't ready for the speed of the game. You weren't ready in terms of executing in the half court, and Clemson makes you play that way. Again, one of the best defensive teams in the conference. So they've got to lock in on the game plan, but also you got to come ready to play. It's not about what you did yesterday. Again, 53 points in the first half, Joe, like you said. To score 54 points in the game tonight, you just didn't have the right mindset coming into this game. And yesterday, I thought they built a lot of confidence. It ended up being a bad thing because they thought, hey, we're just going to go in there and shoot like that again, and we're not going to have any turnovers. We're going to play like that. And they just didn't focus. And in this tournament mindset, as we know, it's win or go home. So this could be a great thing for them in the long run. Certainly their resume, they've done enough to get in the tournament. But you got to focus every game because you can go home quick.